Hello and welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. I'm Kim and I am going to try to process all of my Napa cabbage that I have in this container here into kimchi. Never done this before, but I'm going to try and I'm bringing you with me. I harvested, I think, 2 heads of Napa cabbage a few days ago, and those 2 heads had quite a bit of bug damage on them. And so I looked through it, and honestly, I couldn't salvage it. So I tossed those in the trash, or not really the trash, compost. And I picked 2 more heads of Napa cabbage this morning. I washed it really well because it had some snails in it. And so I looked at each and every individual leaf to make sure that it's clean. So now that I have clean Napa cabbage, I am going to start trying to make kimchi. It's the first time I've ever done this. I've gone online, I've found about 3 different recipes out there, and I am going to do a combination of those 3 recipes to find what works best for me. Wish me luck. So the first thing that I did was took the Napa cabbage and cut each one of them into quarters. And I left them connected at the bottom. So I left them connected at the bottom so it kind of fans out and open. Let me show you one. Hopefully I can do it without getting water everywhere. But at the bottom here, that's a bad leaf. Yuck. So at the bottom here, it's still connected, and each and every one of these fold out and open. So now that I've done that, I'm going to start the salting process, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Now, the recipes that I've looked at, there's a couple different ways to salt your Napa cabbage, and they all talk about using sea salts or a very coarse grained salt. Now, I don't have that. I am going to use my all natural canning and pickling salt. So it's for preserving. So hopefully this salt will do okay. Some recipes says just use whatever salt you have. Some says make sure you have coarse salt. So we're going to use what we have here. So I have the salt in a little container here. And the technique that I read up on said take the salt and put it in between each of the leaves. Let's see if I can do this. Close to the bottom. And they said, don't worry about the leaves at the top. Okay. So we're going to try to do this. Again, please, I'm not saying that this is how you make kimchi, but you can follow me and see if I'm making a hot mess or if I'm doing something right. So I'm going to do this for each of the 8 pieces that I have here. Some of the ones that I saw online said, hey, once you get it salted, you want to massage it and let it sit for 2 hours. And then I found a couple different Korean recipes for kimchi, and they said, do not massage your cabbage. So I'm not going to massage my cabbage. I am going to make sure I get all the salt on here for sure. Now that it's nice and clean. It actually smells kind of sweet. It really does. So I'm trying to get the salt in between each of the layers here. And then I'm going to actually put it in a water bath. And I'm not going to massage it. I may turn it over in the bath a couple of times just to make sure it's all under the water. But I will not be massaging. Now I've cleaned this really well, but I'm still double checking because I don't want any bugs in my food. So I'm double checking it as I'm going. Now that I've completely salted all of my cabbage and I've double checked again for bugs, so there are no bugs in it, I am going to put it into a very lightly salted bath. Now, since there's already salt on the leaves, I'm going to fill this up with water, taste the water to see if it's lightly salted, and then I'm going to just let it sit. In some of the recipes that I saw, They said let it sit in a water bath like overnight. I don't have overnight, but I have a solid 8 hours today because it's early in the morning. So I'll let it sit all morning, and then I will actually make the paste. I've already started cutting some of the vegetables. I'll share that as well. And we will actually prepare our kimchi later today. Now, this container that I'm filling up, I actually went to the Korean market and said, hey, I'm making kimchi for the first time and I need a big bowl. And they said, how much kimchi are you making? And I said about 3 heads, and they gave me this bowl. So this is what the Koreans would use. I feel pretty confident that the bowl is the right size for what I'm trying to do. And they also steered me in the right directions for the right ingredients for me. You may wonder why or how I got into Korean food and kimchi and those type things. But my adult daughter, who's 26 now, decided to go to school internationally. So she went to school in South Korea, Yonsei University, which is one of the top 3 schools in the country. And I got to go to Korea a lot to visit her over the 5 years she was actually there. And I'm going to be honest with you, I just kind of fell in love with kimchi, traditional kimchi. And I've never known how to make it. I would just go to the Korean grocery store or the Korean market and get my kimchi. So now that I'm growing my own Napa cabbage, I'm going for it. So now I have this container filled with water. Let's see if it's salty enough. I don't know. I'm going to add a little more salt. I don't know if this is salty enough or not, but we are going to rinse the cabbage off once we know that it's ready. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a little more salt. And from what I've heard, the salt breaks the cabbage down and it brings out the sweetness in the cabbage, and it's going to make the cabbage pliable. You're going to be able to bend it and fold it, but it will maintain the crunchiness. So that's what I hear. So that's what I'm going to assume is right. I'm making sure the salt's all dissolved is all I'm doing as I'm moving it around in here. And now we're going to walk away, and I will come back in a little while and at least share with you how I cut up my ingredients and just all the different ingredients. But we will be back to talk about that here shortly. This we're going to set aside for about 8 hours. Okay, it's been about 10, almost 11 hours since we started soaking the Napa cabbage in the with the salt and in the water. And so I think it's a good time for us to start making the paste. To make the paste, I am going to need 1 cup of boiling water. So let me go get that started. In addition to the 1 cup of boiling water, I need a 1/4 cup of sweet rice flour, and I am going to mix it into 1 cup of room temperature water, and I'm going to whisk it up really well. So let's do that step next. That's it for the flour until the water starts to boil. So I'm finished with that portion. Let's talk about some of the other ingredients that I need. I needed 3 spring onion, and I've already chopped up 3 spring onion. I needed Korean radish, and so I've already created the Korean radish. In here, I have a medium-sized onion, and I have ginger, just a little piece of ginger about the size of my thumb. And then I have some frozen garlic cloves that I took out earlier. They've been thawing out. It's probably about 10 or 15 cloves in there. And then I have 2 carrots that I've already chopped up into what I tried to be the little shoestrings. That was my attempt. We'll see how I'm doing. Other ingredients that I need today include 1 apple, which I still need to peel and core. What else do I need? They called for fresh garlic chives. The only garlic chives that I have are the ones from my garden that I dehydrated last year. So I'm going to put, I don't know, maybe 1/4 cup of these in there. Hopefully that turns out okay. Fish sauce. This is plum. I don't know if it's extract or what. It's in Korean. I had the gentleman at the Korean market help me get this out. But this is plum. What else? And then Korean chili flakes. Now, they called for the coarse grain flakes. I don't have any, so hopefully this style Korean flakes will work. Hopefully I'm not messing this up again. This is my first time making it, so we'll see what we got going on. And I'll just have to go buy the coarse grade chili pepper flakes next time. But this is an experiment, so if it comes out halfway decent, I know what I need to do for next time. And I think that's it. Let's go check on that boiling water. All right, so my water is boiling, so I'm going to turn it down. They said to medium-low heat. So I have it on medium-low heat. And it says to pour this mixture in there, stirring it until it thickens up. So let's see how I did. I can feel it getting thick, so that's a good thing. I think we're there. I did have to add a little more water because it was way too thick. So I'll have to check my measurements on that next time. But this consistency looks perfect. So now it says to put it in a bowl and let it cool. So we will do that next step. This looks like way too much, but oh well, we'll see how it turns out. For the next step, I am going to grab the Napa cabbage and let's get it rinsed off really good and start draining some of the water off of it. Now it says I'm supposed to rinse it out, so I think I should, So let's just pour all of this out into a sink of cold water. After I put the cabbage into a sink of cold water and rinsed it very well, I thought it was a good idea to rinse it just a little bit more. So I added it to my colander and gave it another good rinsing. In this process, I realized that these cabbages were starting to bolt, and so I needed to cut that center stem out before moving to the next step. All right, we have the paste ready to go, sitting to the side, cooling off. And so now we're going to blend in our apples, which I've already cored and peeled 1 apple. Hopefully this is right. It called for an Asian pear. I didn't have one, so you have to use what you got. My ginger, get that in there. My garlic and my onion. It called for just a ladle full of my paste. So I guess you just need some liquid in there to get it going. So that's probably a ladle. And it said to pulse. So let's pulse. That's too slow. Okay, I think we're ready to make this. There was one other item that I forgot to mention, and this is salted shrimp. It's teeny little baby shrimp that I need to also put into my paste. So I got that out the refrigerator. I have it ready to go. Let's just do this. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put my paste in the bottom. And you also need gloves, so I went and got my gloves, so I have them ready to go. The stuff that I ground in the blender. And then I need my scallions, my carrots. Friends, don't judge me on this. I am trying my best to get this right. And if I can't get it right, I'll just stop trying and I'll just go back to the Korean market and grab my kimchi, since if I can't get this right, then I'm going to have to call it quits and go to the experts. And it's called for some chives, so I'm just going to sprinkle some chives in there. Garlic chives at that. I have a 1/4 cup of fish sauce, a tablespoon of these baby shrimp. Now, I'm not a huge seafood person, so I'll just be honest with you. I'm not crazy about seafood, but there it is. I like kimchi, so it must be good. And then I need to put in my plum extract, is what they told me this was. Plum extract is, what was it? It was a tablespoon. Korean pepper flakes. All right, at this step, they're telling me I'm supposed to put my hands in here and mix this up. So I've put all the ingredients in. They told me I'm supposed to have these great big old gloves that come up to almost my elbows. I don't have any, so I'm just going to use the little short gloves instead. And then it just says, mix it all together. Now my bowl is probably way too big for the amount that I'm making, but oh, it smells like kimchi, so I'm doing something right. My pieces are probably too thick, but I'm trying. I'm trying. It says mix it to everything's nice and coated. A deep red. I think I'm going to have to add some more chili pepper flakes. Just a few. Now, I also read you could do this to taste. So hopefully this works out okay. Next time, I'll definitely get the coarse grain flakes too. But it's nice and deep and red. I also believe I cut some of my matchsticks a little too thick. But it's in here. I think we're ready to move to the next step. Okay, so now it's time for me to take the Napa cabbage and fold in this kimchi goodness into that. And I am going to fold it in and put it in this container right here. I wanted to get one of the traditional urns, or whatever you call that little clay pot. And at the Korean market, they told me everybody's using this. So I'll put it in here. It's got a place inside right here that you can push down all the way down to make sure there's no air bubbles in there. And it's got a little place here to burp it, and it fits perfectly in the refrigerator. So we will be trying this gadget out. This is the name brand, and it's actually in English so that I could read about it. But it seemed pretty cool, and I'll give it a try. It was either going to be this or a mason jar. So that's what we have. Now, I've tasted this, and they said it's not supposed to be sweet, so I guess I'm okay there. Some of the recipes called for brown sugar. I'm not quite sure why I needed brown sugar, so I didn't put any in. I put the right amount of plum sauce. I think I did it right. I think I did everything right. I tasted it. It's got a little warmth to it, a little heat. but not too much. And I put everything else in I was supposed to. So let's just get started. Let's see if I can do this right. So I'm supposed to take it and start on the inside and put it in nice and close. Now, I was also told that I could cut this up into smaller chunk bite-sized pieces versus trying to do it this way, but hey, I might as well go all in and try this out. I'm putting it in at each layer like they said. They told me don't worry about the ends next to the leaves, only focus on the bottom part, so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm sticking it in there. I would love to be able to make this for my daughter one day. I put it in there. I don't know if it's right or not, but it's in there. Then they said fold it over. Did I make it right? Probably not. It's falling all apart. Okay, that's one. The key is that we tried, right? We tried. Now I cut this one real skinny, so I know this one's not right. Some of my pieces have fallen completely apart, so I'll do the best I can with getting those covered. I probably messed up somewhere in the cutting of it. I think that thick piece in the middle I was supposed to cut out, and I didn't. Well, we're figuring it out together. This video may be so bad I don't publish it. And if I don't, forgive me. But I'm trying. I am not trying to disrespect the kimchi. Oh, there's a lady on YouTube. She says, don't disrespect the kimchi. And I do not want to disrespect the kimchi. This is probably the chunkiest kimchi anybody's ever had. I cut my pieces way too thick. Okay, let's push this bowl down. Let's move this in just a little better here. So I know you really can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just pushing the kimchi down, trying to squeeze out any air bubbles that may be in there. So let me show you what it looks like inside. Can you see it? So it's just under a half a container. And I'm supposed to put this piece in next. And I'm supposed to push this down all the way till it's touching the kimchi. So we squeeze out all of the air. I have the little lid open on here so the bubbles, and so fermentation is all about letting that air escape. So there's going to be some reactions happening inside there, fermentation, and you know it's working when you see little air bubbles all over the place. So we want to make sure that I have everything in the mix. I have the little top on it here, so it's got room for the air bubbles to escape. Wipe the edges off. So it's nice and clean going into the refrigerator. And so this is supposed to last in the refrigerator, honestly, for months is what they told me. Fresh eating kimchi, they told me I can eat it really right now, but they said give it a day and it'll taste even better. So I'm going to try to wait a week. And then I'm going to go in for my first taste. Now, I'm not going to lock this all the way down because I have it burping or I have it releasing those little air bubbles. So I'm going to just sit it down on top. I'm not going to lock it down, and I'm going to add it to the fridge. So for this little project here, I can't say if you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. All I say is please pray for me and hopefully this turns out okay. Thank you for joining me as I try to make kimchi for the first time. And I hope you're not disappointed in my skills and they can only get better. It can't get any worse than what I did today. But I wanted to share with you my attempt at making kimchi. I hope you enjoy the video. Please come back to my channel real soon. I have mostly gardening videos and preserving videos of things that I know how to preserve. Kimchi is one I'm still trying to figure out. Thank you, and until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.